if your stress bucket is overflowing with stress and you do a high intensity workout, you are putting so much more stress on that body than
well, and then on top of it, you're stressing about the stress and stressing about the weight gain too. So you're just adding stress too.
Are you completely exhausted and you're just burnt out doing all of the things? Oh, and on top of that, you are gaining weight. Well, if so, welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about why you are all of those things and what to do about it. So if you're ready, listen up and lean in as we elevate your mind. Welcome back. This was the podcast we were supposed to record when we popped off about the Women's Health Initiative. And hopefully you guys liked that because that was just for us to process our feelings.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Lots of therapy for us this last 48 hours.
Listen, if you are new to this podcast, we're going to banter about our lives, babies, what we're watching, reading, all the things. So if you would like to jump to the topic today, check out the show notes below. Did I tell you that I joined a clothing rental?
Yes.
Yeah, I did the rental. Did I talk about it on here?
Yes, because you said you got like pieces and then you can return them or you can keep them because you're doing all the like interviews and podcast stuff.
Which I wore 0 of them too.
Yeah, I noticed. I was like, that's a lot of mindset and matter.
Yeah. Well, because they're like, oh, if you're on TV, you need to have your own branding. So I need to get new branding stuff too, because it's kind of like peeling.
It's hard to see on the TV when you wear it with the jacket, because the jacket has the branding and the shirt has the branding, but the jacket covers the shirt. And then like the way the jacket laid open, it was hard to see.
Yeah. I think I'm going to, I want to have more appropriate, because the tank top by itself is a little skanky. Yeah. And then when I went to the events, I was like, the pants either don't fit, they're too big, so I've got to figure it out. But I'm going to send that back. I'm also in this era of sending cards, like greeting cards to people when something good happens. Oh, yeah. Okay. Did you ask Jess, did you receive our package? Did you ask her?
No, you said you were going to ask her.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Jess, did you receive our package? Let's text her. Hold on.
Well, I'm messaging her right now.
Okay. Message her, please, and ask her, did you receive the package? Christina wants to know on air. So I had a friend get his own, like a new store. He works in the Home Depot.
Oh, so he went to a
corporation. Yeah. In Colorado from, I think, Nebraska.
Oh,
or Wyoming. Wyoming. Is Wyoming above Colorado? We're going to say that. And then I had my friend's mom buy her first house ever.
Oh, that's nice.
Melissa's mom.
Oh, I saw that. She posted that.
So I sent her a card.
That's nice of you.
I'm in my card era.
That's nice of you.
Yeah. Other than that, my dad's been doing his workouts. That's been fun to see him do his little workouts.
Good for him.
He's got a band and he does leg lifts. And then he does like adductors. And then he does little like extensions. And then we put it on his ankles and he goes in and out that way too. And then he repeats it. And he does it twice. And then he does his arms as well.
Good for him.
Let me tell you guys, I'm terrified. My 12-year-old beagle is going to be put under to get her teeth cleaned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Dogs don't come out of that sometimes.
I know. And I was thinking, I thought you were going to go put under full stop. And
no.
I wanted to be like,
no.
Okay.
But it's like an all day thing.
Yeah.
What if she doesn't come out?
When is she doing that?
Wednesday. I need to figure out Wednesday. I want to, like, just in case, I want her to.
What time Wednesday?
It's all day. It's at like 9 to like 3.
Are you going to be able to podcast?
I'm not going. Mark's taking her. But then he's coming back home and then he's going to go pick her up. No, and I'm like, maybe I should go. Yeah.
Are you going to be okay if you go?
Yeah, I at least want to be there when she goes in so that if she passes, I'm one of the last faces she sees. Because in all reality, this is so morbid, you guys. It's not any different than what happened with Brookie, other than she was in my arms when it happened. You know what I mean? So it's not like this, like trauma or emergency, but You've got to think of this stuff.
I know.
Listen, during COVID, I watched this monkey. His name was George. Did I tell you about George?
No.
He made me so happy.
You mean George? Curious George?
No, his name was George because of Curious George.
Okay.
So he's a monkey on TikTok. And he was like an emotional support monkey. Apparently that's allowed in Texas. And he was like one of those really cute monkeys. And people would send him gifts and he would open them up and play with them. Like he was very smart.
Uh-huh.
And it was so cute and like just joy. It was just a lot of joy. And during COVID, it was the thing I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And like Jordan, Elena, all of us watched George, and he had millions of followers, and they went to get his teeth cleaned. And looking on my, maybe it was stories
mm-hmm.
on Instagram, and it says like he's not doing well. He was put under, not random, normal teeth cleaning. And he's now fighting for his life, and he died. And I cried because of this monkey.
Yeah.
On TikTok, because I was like, he brought me so much joy. Like it was like this. Well, everything else seemed to be going wrong. You could watch this little guy, and he would just open these Amazon gifts, and it was a lot of like, sensory stuff.
Uh-huh.
So he could like play with it, and he would open envelopes because he has two opposing thumbs, right? So he'd open envelopes, and he'd like figure out how to like put things into other things. You're just watching him, and he's like, his little monkey sounds. And then he would eat. People would send him food a lot. He would eat. He was just like, and like it was so cute. But that's why I'm afraid of my dog.
Okay.
It's because I'm traumatized from George. If any of you watched your monkey content on TikTok, let me know in the comments. You should check it out.
Well, yeah, I got on the Mom Talk.
Oh yeah, tell us about that.
It was weird. What? They're like, Taylor, yeah, the one. I'm like, what is happening? It's like it's like watching a mental breakdown.
Okay, tell me more.
Okay, so she's got all her little dancey things.
Mm-hmm. Do it again.
Dancey things. And then she'll have videos of her just crying about how hard life is.
Okay, and what is your take on people crying on?
I think it's kind of weird. I did it. So I have one video of me crying.
But you weren't expecting to cry.
I was not expecting to cry. I was talking about what was happening with when I was pregnant and going into my labor. And I literally thought, and this is why I posted it, full transparency. I was like, this will get more likes because I'm crying. Oh, wow. People are going to be curious. And I was like, let me see how that does. Mm-hmm. And it did.
Right.
And I was like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
So I
cried on this podcast.
Well, that's different. You weren't expecting to.
Yeah.
But I find it weird that she's like in her car bawling her eyes out, and to be like, I need to video this real quick.
Right.
Like, to me, I'm like, that's odd.
Yeah.
I don't. And it's the Mom Talks. Like, I will definitely watch season 2 now that I've seen season 1.
Mm-hmm.
But
Nick Vile says it's vile.
He's seen it.
He gets all of the stuff up front.
Oh,
he's a big deal now.
Huh.
I had a dream that I like hooked up with him last night.
Oh, is he straight? Oh, he is straight
and married with a kid.
Oh, okay.
He was the Bachelor.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just find them odd because they're like,
yes, I just told you I had a sex dream.
Like, they're just moms doing dances the whole time, like on TikTok, and then sponsors. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm like, why is this popular? But I don't know.
So, funny story.
Mm-hmm.
During COVID, myself, Angel, and our friend at the time, Gina did that. We videos. Just I'll have to show you them.
I think that's
dancing.
I think that's different though.
Yeah.
Not making excuses for you, but because you're doing, like, COVID was just a different time.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if you'd like to make dances with your friends, I think that's totally great.
Yeah, but
you're like 30 something with 3 kids. Like, what else we got?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
so
strange. I got on Whitney's page,
mm-hmm.
and it's like all about her and her husband just like being weird.
To do the same.
Yeah. Because now that she's out, I'm assuming. So
yeah,
I'm like, this is fucking weird. You guys are weird.
Listen, I was listening to Sonata Greca, the one that we talked about on some podcast. Interestingly, she does have a very similar thought process to us.
Just doesn't promote it.
She does, but again, it's the process, not the content. Where it's like, well, yeah, you promote that, but she talked about, the girl asked her, tell us exactly what you eat in a day. She goes, well, I have
popped off on my TikTok.
Oh, that?
Go ahead, and I'll tell you what happened on my TikTok.
So it was
now that I'm a TikTok star.
Yes, Greek yogurt with some berries and nuts. And then I think she said, and then I just have like protein bars around. So I just focus on protein. And then at dinner, I was like, so you don't eat all day? You're just munching on maybe I missed a part because I was also working out. But I was like, how'd you get so jacked? That's weird. Like, you wouldn't get that jacked if you were eating that way. So either we're not
on gear,
sharing. Yeah, on gear.
We're on gear. We're not sharing what we're actually doing.
Gear is like
steroids.
Hormone, or not hormone replacement, hormone. What's it called?
Steroids. Anabolic steroids.
Yeah, anabolic steroids. Thank you.
Yeah.
And or you don't want to share the reality because that would be like off-brand. Like, no, I'm eating 3,500 calories. It's fucking hard, and I train hard because her body is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, okay, Christina, you've got to stop talking shit. You need to be excited. And then this thing, I'm on my journey, you guys. Like, I'm protecting the fuck out of my peace. And I go, here's a beautiful thing. Rather than being the person who's like, this is wrong, you're wrong, da, 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 be like, well, she's successful and her message is wrong. Or I shouldn't say wrong. Her message is hers and it's opposing to yours. So you can be equally, if not more successful with a more sustainable approach to this whole thing. So congratulate her in your head.
Congratulations, Sonata.
Yes. Well, she doesn't need her congrats. But she did record this at the time.
Send her a postcard?
I will send her a greeting card. Congratulations for the rent you've taken up in my head. And I'm going to give it back to you. This was also when she was working with Kim Kardashian. So it was probably a couple I don't even know how it's ended up on my YouTube because I watch YouTube when I work out.
Oh.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say on my TikTok, I popped off. I said, if you're following people who show you what they eat in a day, you need to unfollow them. Ooh. And apparently there's a thing called skinny talk.
Yeah.
Okay. God. Now that I'm in it, I'm like, what the fuck is all this shit? So I was like, this is why, this is how it is. They don't show you this. They don't talk about this. Everybody's an individual, you know. One girl, of course, posted, this must not apply to me because I've been following skinny talk for like this amount of time and I'm 4 months postpartum with a 2-year-old or something like that and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's great. You know, what are your plans for like when you need a reverse and, you know, what's like blah, blah, blah. It just kind of being like, that's great. Okay, but here's some things to think about. I think she replied, because I haven't looked, but she was like, well, I'll just stay at that deficit, strength train 2 to 3 days a week and blah. I'm like, that's great. Like, but like, why? But what? Like, there's so many other questions that I have, but I'm not engaging with you on TikTok. Like, so I'm just like, yeah, they're all like on the unfollow people. So I mostly talk about like my TikTok's a lot different than my Instagram. I'm realizing because
so you got a good response from it.
I think so. I haven't looked recently.
I haven't either.
But yeah, one of my bigger hits were. I don't even
tell everyone what your TikTok is.
It's Fit by Amanda.
Yeah.
My other big hit was the weight gain during pregnancy, which is ironic. And then why I understand why people get divorced and then what they eat in a day. Yeah.
Here, I'm going to look it up.
I got some 900,000s, 2000s. So I'm like, okay, that's fine.
This one.
And then today I talked about not starting again because it's Monday.
Well, let's talk about people who are special, which are our listeners.
Yes.
And maybe this doesn't apply to all of you, but there's this phenomenon that we're just gonna keep going and going and going, and as if our body isn't going to respond. And then I get the question, I just don't understand why I'm so tired all the time. And I don't understand, like, look at this weight gain. I've gained 20 pounds and it's around my stomach. I don't understand X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see what you're doing in a day.
Yeah.
Understanding burnout is incredibly important. We've talked about KISS. We've talked about toxic resilience. There's so many variables to it that are important. that there's just this like major disconnect, as if your body just isn't going to, like, I get it, because I'd be like, just keep going, you'll rest here, or
you don't, or you consider like sleep is your rest. It's like kind of, but not really.
Right. But then I was doing things while I was awake that then affected my sleep. Right.
That's why it's like, no, sleep is not really the rest.
Yeah. And it's just doing way, way, way too much for where you're at in your life, especially as you start building a family, or you're getting older, or your parents are getting older. And whether you're doing it intentionally or unintentionally, we're skipping meals, right? We're under eating. We're not fueling ourselves. And because we're always on the go, if we're not preparing, then we have these, highly palatable, like super processed foods. So that's obviously not helping us. And then, but in your mind, you're like, well, I don't eat that much. Right. And I'm always, I'm doing all the things, but I'm so puffy and I'm getting fat or whatever. And yeah, it's just kind of a mess. And this idea of this conversation stemmed off of the fact that April was Stress Awareness Month. Oh. And that's why I was on the news for those 2 segments.
Oh, okay. Yes. That makes sense now.
And so I want to explain this, that when we continue to go, and we don't have a no, an O, we don't have a sense of our no, that we are going to obviously be taking on things that don't benefit us.
Correct.
Right. That are going to make us feel bad afterwards.
Correct.
That are going to
time suckers.
Yes. Vacuums, if you will. And I'm guessing that underneath that is you having been in a household where you had to take care of your siblings, and that's how you were seen as good. You were in a household where you had a parent who was emotionally immature, so you had to take care of that parent. Maybe your parent was an addict, and you had to take care of that parent. And the only time you felt seen, heard, or loved was when you were taking care of someone else.
So funny, because there's someone that I know you're listening to this, and this is you.
Listen up. And even worse, when you weren't, maybe you watched the other siblings and you did it wrong. You made a mistake. Someone got hurt. Who gets in trouble? You do. So you're now this say yes, sir. You're the yes, ma'am. And that is why you're so exhausted.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about stress. Okay. But first I want to I'm going to talk about stress. So I'm going to pop off on this. So it's going to be Christina's show today, just because I will tell you guys, when I go on the news, I literally have to write out every single word and then repeat it 75,000 times, because I act like I don't know what I'm talking about when I get on live TV. Yeah. So I have to practice. So we've got to think about the difference between chronic stress and acute stress.
Yes.
So acute stress, our nervous system says, hey, there's a threat. I will use an example. Liberty and I were walking. There was a coyote and a cub, probably 100 yards from us. And I'm a hypervigilant girly. So my stress response was like, threat. It was far, but not, it looked at us and I was like, oh shit. And Liberty's like, what's that? So what happens at that moment? We got cortisol, norepinephrine, which is basically adrenaline, shooting through our bodies. What also we have shooting through our bodies is blood sugar, because we need that blood sugar in our body to fight or flight. Interestingly, your blood vessels open up in your heart, your lungs, your brain, and your legs. But then they temporarily shut down in your digestive tract, in your reproductive system, and your immune system, right? So your immune system kind of shuts down when we're in fight or flight. So then we fight or flight, threat goes away. That's when our bodies come back down into the parasympathetic nervous system. Our heart rate comes down. All of those things that were offline come online. And this is where we can rest, digest, and then recover from that incident. So this is why, women specifically who can't say no, who are working, juggling workouts, juggling work, juggling life, juggling kids, on top of not eating enough, then trying to do all these crazy workouts. And the workouts are, super intense. This is why we hear all the time, like, I don't understand. I'm doing everything, but I'm exhausted and I have all this weight on my body.
Mm-hmm.
So let's break down what I talked about. So let's jump into cortisol. What do you know about cortisol?
Cortisol is not helpful for muscle building because it's almost like, for me, I think of like cortisol, if I can like make it a picture or like a movie, it's like it almost overstimulates or overcomes all the other like hormones that you need. So,
which is an actual true thing.
Yeah. And so then if I'm always in the stress state, like my other hormones don't have the ability to do what they need to do because cortisol is taking over so much.
So real quick, we call it the cortisol steal. So your cholesterol gets converted to pregnenolone, which is your mother hormone, and pregnenolone then creates progesterone. Progesterone then can obviously help create all the other anabolic hormones, testosterone, estrogen. However, if we're continually pumping out cortisol in our bodies, then we have to use that progesterone to create the others. That progesterone creates more cortisol, which we've talked about in other podcasts.
And it steals from like your amino acids and amino acids. So like amino acids come from protein. We need protein to help build muscle protein synthesis. But if there is not enough going on, it's going to start stealing from the amino acids and creating that energy that you need.
Right. Which puts you in a catabolic state, meaning that we are breaking down muscle. Hey, YouTube, today's giveaway, yes, we're starting this, is the Self-Mastery Method, which is a self-led program on my mindset method. All you have to do is comment below on this podcast, and we are going to randomly select the winner, and you will get access to that program for 4 months and be able to work through the entire method and join along with all that we do. Now, back to the show. So not only are we breaking down muscle, we're also taking what's coming in and storing it as fat. Because we need to prolong, like the brain is not equipped. Well, it's adapted to your stress response. It's not equipped to like stay in this steady state of dysregulation. So it's saying, okay, well, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Now, this isn't exactly how it happens, but I don't know how long I'm going to be here. So I need to store this energy, and it's going to store it as fat. And oftentimes it is stored as visceral fat, which is the fat that we want to make sure we have less of. We want under 1 pound of visceral fat on our bodies for women my age, because it will increase the risk of all cause mortality. So we have fat gain, especially around our midsection. We have muscle breakdown because of this increase in cortisol. The other thing too is, as we've talked about with sleep, cortisol should be high in the morning, then come down, right? And then around like 3 p.m., your melatonin, thank you, increases and we go to sleep. But if our cortisol is so dysregulated and we're constantly in that stress state, that's going to cause issues with falling asleep, staying asleep. We'll feel tired and wired. We know we want to go to sleep. We're thinking about sleep all day. I can't wait to get in my bed. And then when I put my head on the pillow, my ass doesn't fall asleep. And that is detrimental to muscle building, right? And recovery.
Well, even thinking about like your hunger signals, right? So thinking even thinking of like this flight and fight mode, right? When you're in that sympathetic state, you're not thinking about like, am I hungry? Right? That's going to be suppressed. Yeah. Because your body doesn't have the ability to be like, okay, we can eat right now and kind of chill while there's a coyote or a bear chasing us. Right? It's got to do one or the other. Right. And so then say that comes down. Okay, now I'm like realizing I haven't ate for like 5 hours. I need to eat and I'm going to overindulge, but I'm not really listening to that hunger fullness cue because now it's so depleted or so overdone too, right? Like it's extremes instead of balance.
Well, we're in a stress state. Like adrenaline is going to numb our bodies. Like our ability to endure pain goes up.
Yep.
And so that need
Talk about childbirth.
Right. There you go. You're not hungry during childbirth. You're probably really fucking hungry afterwards.
Yeah, you're not eating during it because you're like, you try and eat before, but during it, you're like, holy fuck, I can't do that.
Because your body's like
stressed.
We're not even using that system right now. That's a really good example, actually. I'm glad that you brought that up.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But we just have to think about this inability to say no. And or maybe I should say this both ways. Your inability to say no and or the amount of worth you put into saying yes will become a cycle.
Yeah.
right? That feeds poor recovery.
Yep.
Which feeds into more exhaustion, more weight gain, and so on.
Yep.
So
what do we tend to see women do?
Do more workouts.
Yeah.
I've talked about this we've talked about it so many times, right? But if your stress bucket is overflowing with stress and you do a high intensity workout, you are putting so much more stress on that body than
well, and then on top of it, you're stressing about the stress and stressing about the weight gain too. So you're just adding stress too. I wish we could show my recent clients pictures right now because she's like the perfect example of this.
Tell us about her.
So a high performing job, right? A lot of her value comes on how her body looks to herself. She recently she's 5.5, 6 months postpartum. She's perimenopause age-ish. And just was doing, 45 minutes to an hour workout every day on the Peloton, and then doing like an upper body 2 to 3 times a week as well. And then whatever else in addition to that, not eating enough. She was probably about like 1,200 to 1,400 calories, give or take. And so what I did, back her off 3 times a week. And I would have to show you these pictures because you'll be like, oh my gosh, 3 times a week, strength training. Oh, did you?
I look at all your stuff.
Okay. Okay. Creep.
I have to make sure you're
doing my job. Okay. So she looks phenomenal within
like a month and a half.
Within the month and a half. And then especially within the last 20 days too, of when it's all strung together.
Insane.
So,
right. Because, think about it. So if I already have these like cortisol, like pumping through my body, plus the blood sugar, like the blood sugar, like swings is really important because that ultimately can cause a lot of inflammation. Also, the lower immune functioning. Right. So now we have, remember, gut is offline, immune is offline. So we're just this ball of inflammation. That's where I feel puffy. I feel bloated. I just don't feel like myself. I hear you, girl. I hear you. And I raise you that we need to look at this. So let's talk about, so I always talk about it, battery-based or percentage-based training, where if your battery is only at 25%, the best thing to do is to walk after each meal, because you already have all this blood sugar running through your body. Let's at least use the actual food energy that is coming in. And research has shown that when you walk for about 10 minutes post-meal, that it will help regulate blood sugar, which is going to help a stressed body.
It's interesting you say that because I was listening to a podcast with Rhonda Patrick. Now, this was probably like over a year ago.
Squats.
Yeah. And she said squats, like doing 10 squats after eating is, I think, more effective or just as effective of going for that 10-minute walk too. And that's something like for my office workers, I want you to encourage, like sometimes you can't go for a walk, which I get, but you can do 10 squats because more likely or not, you're probably going to the bathroom, after dinner or after lunch, like just to go pee even. You can do 10 squats in that stall and nobody will have to know. You can do 10 squats in your office. Nobody will have to know, or do it together,
everyone does your squat party, drop it low. So thinking about your battery, 50%, you're going to do like a body weight, mobility, yoga. 75%, you're going to do your strength training at a moderate pace. And then 100% is when we would do like a CrossFit or the boot camp on the Peloton. But what do we see? We see the women doing the boot camp on the Peloton. They're not sleeping well. They're not seeing changes in their body. They might even be getting worse results. Right. They might be seeing more fat on their body. I shouldn't say worse. Fat isn't bad. So what are the signs of that? Like, obviously body composition is changing and you're seeing these shifts in ways that don't promote or don't correlate with what you're doing.
Yeah. Your effort is not equating to the outcome.
Right. You're plateauing,
with the caveat that you're being realistic about this though too, because like there's a difference between like, oh, my effort's not going towards it. And there's a difference of like, no, I'm like really trying and it's getting worse.
Absolutely. That's the worst feeling because I can't tell you how many clients walk in with that. Like they're trying everything.
Yeah.
Our clientele, as I continue to learn about them, is really that high achiever, that ambition. They are us.
Yeah.
They are us.
They're on all the time.
All the time. Yeah. There's no off switch. Exactly. And that idea of like, I can't pull back, even though I'm not seeing results.
Right.
Like, it's so like ingrained in them. It's like, well, I just gotta keep doing more. It's like, no. Other signs that you're under recovering is, as you already talked about, like increased hunger,
or a loss of appetite too. Because if you're, like you were saying, if you're always in that flight mode, you don't have time to be hungry.
No.
Yeah.
Your adrenaline is, and this is great. How many clients? I'm just not hungry.
All of them. All of them. Day. All of them.
Until when?
Dinner.
Until I get fucking home.
Yeah.
And I said to a client on our Resilient Woman Reset, we were doing our wrap-up call. I go, well, maybe that's because you're so fucking stressed out all day that your adrenaline is pumping through your body and you're just completely numb. And, kind of as I talked about, we want to know the difference between like intentional movement and movement for our health and movement for our well-being versus movement that is actually doing more damage, more harm than good. And that battery percentage is really helpful for that. But also the idea that we need to recover, we need to slow down, we need to create that space and rethink recovery. So again, we have to hijack the system. You have to hijack the system with a new baby and this unpredictable schedule and unpredictable her. And some days you're stuck in fight or flight. You're just trying to survive.
At night.
Right.
At night, I'm stuck in fright.
Right. So you have to hijack the system by using stress management techniques to calm down, right? So parasympathetic activation. Now, something that's important for people to note is that when you are in such a stress state, you're not going to be able to think your way out of it before, you're not going to be able to think your way out of it. You need to calm your body down first.
Okay.
So this is why Huberman talks about the extended exhale, right? When you are stressed, think about how you breathe, right?
Yeah, I do. And then to become unstressed, I do double inhale, long exhale.
Correct. The other thing I teach is 4, 7, 8. Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Right. So we're really slowing it down because when we need the extra oxygen to fight or flight, our breath is shorter, especially our exhale. So doing this 4, 7, 8, 4-second inhale, hold for 7 seconds, 8-second exhale. Do that for a couple of rounds. It's going to take your brain about 30 seconds to be like, oh, okay, I get it. We're calming down. We're coming back into that parasympathetic place. Then once your brain can come online, that's when you can decide your next best steps, right? And I think that was really important when I was doing my kind of research and putting my thoughts together on stress management was this chill the body out first before we try to think our way through it. Because when I'm stressed, personally, my brain is kind of jumbled. Yeah. Exactly. The other thing is, obviously supporting yourself through nutrition.
Yeah.
With that Dominique gal from the news, she said, I really love this because it's all natural and relatively inexpensive, the stuff that we brought up. I didn't get to talk about the undereating. I talked about it on the other one, but like briefly, how intentional or unintentional, because sometimes it's not.
Sometimes people truly believe they are eating enough because they don't feel full. And
they're not hungry.
They're not hungry. And because they've been following this way of how they've been eating for so long that they think it should still work for them.
Right. Exactly. But really their body has adapted.
Yep.
Right. And I didn't get to touch on that, but that's so important. Like if you are under eating, especially for women, especially for women who are able to birth children, that's a stress. What do you talk about it? This is your jam.
I just thought of that girl anyway. So
triggered.
We need to make sure that we're eating enough. Not only, so let's go from like fertility, like conception, all the way to perimenopause, right? Into menopause. When we are trying to have a baby, or even honestly, if you don't want a baby out of this, like you need to have your normal hormonal cycle.
Your body doesn't know that you don't want to have the baby.
But you still need to have that hormonal cycle, right? And so whether you're on birth control or not, like we still need to give our body energy to produce the hormones that we as women use and need. Now, if we are under eating, the body doesn't know that you're under eating. It's just saying, I'm not getting enough energy. Therefore, this isn't a priority. And so going back to like the fertility years is, okay, so we don't need to be under eating. We don't need to try and like, unless your doctor recommends this, and even then I would get a second opinion. You don't need to lose a significant amount of weight before you have the baby or before you try and get pregnant. Like you need to create a safe home environment. So if you're trying to create a safe home environment for this egg embryo, then why aren't you trying to create a safe home environment for yourself?
Correct.
And that's going into the stress part of this. So thinking about undereating. So I'm undereating and overexercising. I'm in perpetual stress. Babies, embryos don't like to grow in that, right? They can, they will.
And they'll end up in my office.
That's actually, there's research that shows like when a parent is dysregulated, that actually makes the child dysregulated.
Did you know that like over half of kids that are adopted will have a diagnosis of ADHD?
Oh, I'm sure.
Or
I could see because of the like
addiction.
Influx of parents.
Well, no,
or like a role.
When a mother is knows that they're putting their child up for adoption, that's a stress.
Oh, even before. Wow.
Yeah. Oh no, it's all in utero.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So there it goes back to your I forget, is it epigenetics? Yeah. So
yeah,
we need to make sure that we're eating enough. And then say we do decide to have a baby, we do have a baby, you need to make sure that you're eating enough because it's very demanding to grow a baby. And even so, say you decide not to have a baby, or maybe that was taken away from you, you need to make sure you're eating enough for your own health, longevity wise.
Correct. Well, and it's quality over quantity too. So we're talking about rethinking recovery. So rethinking recovery, just to go back, calming the body down first before the mind. Then making sure that we are making choices that are going to keep us in that recovery zone, if you will. Quality of food is going to be so much more important than quantity of food. I had this conversation with my client. Like we used to be, if it fit your macros, used to work for her, but now it does not. It does not work for her in her current body. And I said, that's why we're so focused on the quality of your food. And our food can provide us a lot of recovery. Foods, like we talked about on the news segment, dark chocolate, leafy greens, high in magnesium, bananas, high in magnesium. Also bananas can help to boost serotonin, which is so magnesium, more chill pill, serotonin, more feel good chemical. You have anti-inflammatory foods, which we're huge fans of. Your avocado, nuts, seeds, olive oil, fatty fish. Those are going to help reduce that inflammation in your body, right? Then we have, again, foods like oats, bananas that can help boost serotonin. It's not just, we've got to move away from like if it fits your macros, especially as women, especially women who are tired and wired and getting thicker in their bodies and getting a more unhealthy, like just becoming unhealthier, right? Because you could be skinny. I shouldn't say bigger. Fuck that. You can be thin and still be unhealthy. The visceral fat
is still there.
It's still there.
Well, and just because like even thinking of like, okay, you can take care of your stressors like by working out less and kind of thinking like, okay, I'm going to be less stressed. But then if I'm constantly under eating, that's a stressor. So it kind of negates your progress there too. It needs to be the whole piece of the pie that you're looking at here.
Well, and then the rest of the pie is like the mindset, the ability to say
ingredients.
No. Yes. There's all the ingredients. We've got to be able to say no.
Yes.
I will say it once, I'll say it again. We do not say no to people if they can do it themselves. We don't say yes to people if they can do it themselves. We do not say yes to people if they don't ask us directly. We do not say yes to people if we know we're going to feel negatively afterwards. That includes you just being frazzled because you don't have the time.
Yes.
And you have false confidence that you have the time. You do not say yes if you're expecting something in return. I cannot tell you if you put those 4 practices or whatever you want to call it in place, you will have more time for yourself. You will carve out more time for yourself. This was the biggest thing in the Resilient Woman Reset, was creating that space for you no matter what is going on, and learning the sustainable eating quadrant, learning the battery or percentage-based training, learning why we have such a hard time with doing less, right? So the mindset work. That was what it was all about. And everyone walked away having learned something new about themselves and like new goals around their health and wellness that had nothing to do with aesthetics, had everything to do with, you'll
be proud of me. This weekend, my little mom chat was going off and they're kind of talking about body image and stuff. And I try and like, not their coach, like
just be the coach already.
You and Jenny both.
Yeah.
Like,
tell them.
So I said, I tend to walk on water. Like essentially I tend to hesitate to chime in about the stuff, just given my background, what my profession is. I said, but one of the things that I really use with clients is to focus on other ways that you've made progress. And I said, there is no accountability for how resilient you've become emotionally. There is no accountability for how strong you are picking your kid up, blah, 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 blah. I said, so I would encourage y'all that are being challenged right now with your body to consider other ways that are not necessarily measured and make a list of other ways you're making progress.
Yeah. And, if we have to cut, like you said, cut back, like we did in the Resilient Woman Reset, as you're telling these gals, if you needed to cut back, or maybe you are doing enough, but we're not necessarily seeing the weight on the scale. I think it's really important what you said. Like, there is no weight to show, like a number to show how resilient you've become.
There is nothing.
But that is way more important than what a thing that will change throughout the day.
Yes.
That weight will change throughout the day.
I made that client take a scale away.
Oh, good. Yeah. Like,
time to go.
That means nothing compared to how resilient you've become. That's true resilience, not toxic resilience. So when we are exhausted, we are seeing fat mass on our bodies when we don't know where it came from. Whether you are in a bigger body or a thinner body,
I would say, or lack of muscle tone despite your work towards it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yep. You are, looking, I think the biggest thing is, like, you just say to yourself, there's not enough time in the day. That's like the kicker.
Or I just come last. Like, I just do everything for everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, I've literally heard people say that, and I'm like, okay, well, that's a problem.
Right.
If you are saying that out loud, that's a problem.
Don't have time.
Yeah. I just don't have time for myself.
Time right now.
Yeah. I just don't have time for myself. I'll do it or when they say, once this period ends,
this season,
then I'll start.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's not how this works.
If that is you, then it is time to
assess your boundaries.
So exactly what we do: analyze, assess, align. Right. So analyze what we're currently doing that's not working for us, assess why we're doing it from a mental health standpoint, and then align with what our lives need right now. What our lives need, what you need. And by doing that, I promise you are going to obviously feel better. You're going to feel stronger in your body, but you're going to show up better for everybody else.
Yep.
All these people you keep saying yes to on 10%. Think about if you said yes to the right things at the right time with the right fucking energy when you're 90%. We're not going to be 100% all the time. I don't even know when I'm 100%, to be honest with you. You're going to just show up better, more efficient. You're going to be working smarter, not harder. And you're going to avoid a lot of these secondary symptoms of burnout.
Well, even just heartache.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you might not know it's a secondary symptom of burnout, but you'll feel that heartache. You'll feel that like exhaustion of self, that like fatigue of like, gosh, like I'm doing all of these things. Nothing's happening.
Right.
Like you're going to know it's there, but you're going to look at your exercise, nutrition, the stressors as the last thing, because you're going to just think, well, I'm just obviously not going hard enough.
Right.
When the real challenge is actually you're just going too hard. And it's thinking of like the contradictory thing, right?
Yeah.
If there's like a friend in your life that is always needy and needs this and wants that and just sucks the soul out of you, and every time you leave, you're like, oh my God, like, okay, maybe it's not you, it's the friend.
Yeah.
And we need to take away like some, not rights or privileges, but maybe set some boundaries around that. So if every time you're leaving the exercises and you're like, oh my God, okay, like that's not working. That's not how you should feel.
Yeah. So track your stressors, not the workouts, right? Build recovery into your routine.
Please.
First, I would build recovery first.
Besides tracking the stressors.
Right. Well, I'm saying before I'm even going to start a workout routine, if I had it my way, you would build, like, we'd get your sleep great first.
Yeah. Because all that won't
food,
matter.
Food on point, quality of food on point. And then we add in, now exercise is literally the one thing that we can prescribe to people that will help in all areas of health.
Yeah.
Right. Not weight loss, health.
Yes.
Whether that is, knee replacement surgery to mental health, like it helps. This was in my training today. Like this, if you guys want to look up a YouTube, it's 23.5 hours. And he talks about how exercise, walking, movement, 30 minutes a day prevent, and he just goes through this list of just everything that it prevents. So building in that recovery routine, sleep, and, making sure that we have adequate sleep, evaluate your sleep, evaluate, how you're feeling overall.
Yes. This is a good one for the parents too, because so your sleep is all messed up because kids interrupt it, obviously. But I think it's thinking about how you think of that interruption as well. Instead of being like, oh, they're interrupting me again. I've changed my mind on this of being like, oh, she just needs my help to fall back asleep.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, ugh, again. Instead of thinking like, no, she just needs help. She's only been on this. Yeah.
I don't have a kid. I had a yogurt.
A yogurt.
I was working on a Sunday, working against my boundaries. Yeah. So here's a perfect example. And a client, and she had apologized, was kind of getting a little bit anxious over some changes we were making and some info she sent over. And I had messaged, I don't know why I messaged her. It's my own fault. It's nothing against her. She listens to this podcast. And then I was pissed because my eyes were starting to hurt because I was looking at the fucking screen for so long. And I went to go get something out of the fridge and the yogurt fell and it spilled.
Oh no.
Everywhere. And I was like, of course this. I kicked my shoes off because it was on my shoes. Then the yogurt got everywhere because it was on my shoe. Yeah. And I flicked it off and I was like, nah! It's my own fault. It's because I was working against my boundaries. I don't need to be messaging people on fucking Sunday.
Well, it's like a domino effect.
That was so bad. Anyways, reframe rest is productive. Rest. Okay, think about this. I will only see results if I rest.
Ooh.
Because it's true. If I want to see results, results equal rest. Results equal rest. Boom. And then last but not least, go. Ask.
Is this workout serving my body?
Yeah.
Do I need to be working out right now?
Yeah.
Am I sore, sick, injured? Do I need to be working out right now?
Yeah. Ask. Do I need to say yes right now?
Yeah.
Do I need to say yes to this thing? Will this help me or hurt me? We don't give a fuck about them. Sorry. We don't.
Well, if you're already completely energy drained, they're not helping you.
Correct. Ask yourself, am I eating the foods that will help promote energy and awareness and clarity and just having a clear head? Or am I eating the things that literally you are what you eat? If that McDonald's burger literally can sit out for months and not change, that's an issue. So ask yourself, am I eating in a way that helps to energize me? That's probably a big one for clients. I don't get it. I'm so tired. And then I go into their log and I'm like, well, yeah. What did you expect from this food? We've got to think quality over quantity. Just ask yourself, am I stuck in fight or flight? Do I have the symptoms that they talked about? Then how can I create a recovery system that works for me? Because if you don't, you're going to be the person who's constantly waiting for that season to be over. That is just ultimately going to cause more and more issues. The more you prolong this, the worse it will become.
Yeah, the blowout gets bigger.
Right. Well, you think, okay, first it starts as bloating. Right. And then it's IBS.
Yeah.
Right. First it starts as my cycle's off. Then it goes into infertility. Right.
First it starts as a pain and now it's an injury.
Right.
Oh, I know.
Or fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
Right. So if we're exhausted and we're seeing weight gain, we use that as the title because it's clickbaity. It's really you're burning out and your body is saying, hey, I need help here. Yeah. So let's help it out. Anything else? Great. If you like this episode or you have that one friend that you're like, girl, you're doing too much.
This you.
Yeah. This you, babe. Share it with her or him. We love that. We want to get this podcast out to as many people as possible. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you are listening to our beautiful voices. And if you love us, we'd love a 5-star rating and review that helps us get this out to more people. And don't forget the self-mastery method, which is just my mindset method. It's a full curriculum for 4 months. You self-led. That price is going to be increasing.
When?
This will be in May, huh? Actually,
it's already increased.
It's already increased. But if you DM me, I'll give you a homie hookup. So if you're interested, if you're interested, I'm increasing that price. Honestly, Adam from Mind Pump told me that program should be $300 to $600.
I agree.
So right now, if you were today, if you're listening to the advertisements, it's $48. I know.
I told you when you did it, I was like, that should be higher. And you're like, no, I want it to be accessible. I'm like, it is.
I do want it to be accessible. Anyway, other than that, we're going to leave you with this one little tiny thing.
What you say in the mind.
You see in the mirror.
Goodbye.
Bye.